3.5mm hook, a needle to weave all my ends, a pair of scissors. I made this I-cord using knitting needles. I used these two sizes, which I have no idea what these sizes are because I got these from an op shop. The yarn that I'm using for this tutorial is this bright orange because I want it to be really visible so you can see stitches. I got this at an op shop for $1, as you can see. I believe it's in cotton. So first I'm going to make the piece and I'm going to wash it later, and that also allows you to block your piece at the same time. Okay, let me start this tutorial finally. We're going to start with a slip knot. And I'm going to put it on my hook. I'm going to start by chaining 4. So chaining 4, and then I'm going to slip stitch in the first chain. Like holding this so it stays like a circle. Can you see? So that's the little gap in here. And we're gonna work 8 single crochets inside here, okay? First, I'm going to chain 1 and then do 8 single crochets. Okay, so now we've got 8 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going to slip stitch into this first single crochet. Okay, so now we've made this little circle. That's that. I'm going to chain 2. 1, 2. And now we're going to make these clusters for the petals. Starting with a chain of 2, yarn over, go into the first single crochet and pick up a loop, so you'll have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops, so you'll have 2 loops on your hook. You'll have 2 loops on your hook and you'll have the bottom of 2 double crochets. Yarn over and then go into the first single crochet again and pull up a loop, so you'll have 4 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops, so you'll have 3 loops on your hook and the bottom of 3 double crochets. Yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and then pull through the last 2, and that creates this pointy cluster. Between these petals I did a chain of 4. And then I'm gonna make a cluster in the next one. After chaining 4, I'm going to hold my yarn down with my index finger so it doesn't flop around everywhere, and then I'm going to start working into that single crochet by pulling up a loop. I'll have 3 loops on my hook and then pull through the first 2 loops, so I'll have 2 more loops on my hook. Yarn over and work into that single crochet, pulling up a loop, so I'll have 4 loops on my hook. Pull through the first 2, so I'll have 3 left. Yarn over to pull up a loop, then you'll have 5 loops. Pull through the first 2 loops, so you'll have 4 loops left. I'll work through the first 2 loops and then I'll work through the last 3 loops, and that completes that pointy cluster. Okay, now I'm ready to do my last chain 4, but instead of chaining 4, I'm going to chain 2, 1, 2, and I'm gonna double crochet into this section here. So I did that because it leaves you in the middle of your chain instead of on the top of the petal. Now when I come to this space, I'm gonna chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. After chaining 5, I'm gonna single crochet into the space, and then I'm going to make another chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I'm going to chain into the next space, and then chaining 5 again. Instead of chaining into the next space, I'm gonna make an increase. This is the only round in this pattern that I make an increase, and you can see them here at these 4 points. That's our increase, and we achieved that by, I'll show you, by instead of chaining into the next space, just chain into the same space. So I've already chained 5, and then I'm going to single crochet in this same space. What I just did is I did a chain of 5, and then I single crocheted, chain of 5, single crocheted in the next space, and then a chain of 5, and I single crocheted in the same space. That's the pattern that I'm gonna repeat around until I get back here. So chain 5 into the next space, which was that chain 2 that we did before. So we've done chain 5 and then single crochet, chain 5, and then single crochet into the next space. To start our next round, I'm going to do a chain 2, and then I'm going to double crochet in our last double crochet, if you can see. Okay, so that creates that last increase. So you can see the increases a little bit more clearly now, like kind of like a square. And now I'm going to start doing like the repetitive rounds, and this is when you're going to decide if you want a medium size or a larger size. I want to show the 2 different examples that I have here. This is a size, it's like 9 centimeters across in diameter, and this one's about 11. And for my American buddies, this is like 4 across, and this is like 3.5 inches across. The only difference that I did to make this one bigger than this one is going around, we are going to be using chains of 5 for this smaller size. But if you wanted to make it this bigger size, all I did was do a chain of 6. So you just have to increase the amount of chains that you do across all these repetitive rows. This is using 6 chains, and this is using 5 chains, so you can see the gaps are a little bit smaller than these ones. If you have long or thick hair, it's probably more suitable to do 6 chains around. If you have shorter hair or finer hair, I would suggest doing 5 chains across, or if this is for a child, just because that's just a little bit smaller. For my example, I'm going to chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I'm gonna single crochet into the next chain 5 space from the previous round. I'm gonna put a stitch marker on the top of that last double crochet just to show a visual of where we're gonna start and finish. I'll put my stitch marker up there. So this is the beginning of our round. And for the rest of the round, I'm just going to chain 6 and do a single crochet in the next chain space. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then single crochet. Okay, we're almost back at the stitch marker, so I'm at this last chain space. I'm going to chain 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then do a single crochet as normal. For this last chain of 6 before we get to the stitch marker, I'm going to actually only do half in chains. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3 chains, and I'm going to complete it by doing a double crochet where my stitch marker is. So I'm going to just take that out and do a double crochet. Okay, so now we're in the middle of a chain space again, and to start the next round, which is a really easy round, is just doing again a chain of 6 and then single crochet in the chain space just as before. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then single crochet. I'm going to put my stitch marker back into the top of the double crochet just to remind us where the beginning is. So I'm gonna just keep doing the chaining of 6 or chaining of 5 if you're making a medium, and then doing a single crochet in the next available chain space, and you're just gonna keep doing that for about 6 rows. The way I like to count that is by finding one of these corners, and then I will just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's about 6 rounds, and I get this semicircle shape. If you do like 7 or 8 rounds, it will just keep going in length. I don't think it will actually get wider. If you want it to get wider, like I said, you'll just need to do the chaining in a higher amount of chains. So instead of a chaining of 5, you would do 6 or 7 or even 8. But just bear in mind, with every increase in chain size, these gaps will be wider. Okay, so I'm gonna keep doing my chain 6 and then single crochet in the next chain space, and then I'll get back to you when I've done 6 rounds, and I'll show you how to do the last round where we weave our I-cord. Okay, now that I have completed my 6 rows, I'm going to finish this last chain space. So let me just take out my stitch marker. I've done a chain of 3, and then I'm gonna do a double crochet on this last double crochet to complete this round. I'm gonna count the rows so you can see. So I'm gonna look for one of these corner pieces. This is a corner space, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you wanted to make it longer, you can do more rounds. That's completely up to you. But now I'm gonna show how to do this last row where you can weave in your I-cord. We're beginning in the middle of this chain space, and each of these chain spaces will have 4 double crochets. So since I'm already on like half of this chain space, I'm just gonna do 2 starting off. So I'm gonna do chain of 2 for height, and then I'm gonna do a double crochet. So that's that's going to be counted as a double crochet, the chaining 2. This is our next double crochet. We will complete the last 2 when we get to the end of the row, but continuing on, I'm just going to do 4 double crochets in each chain space. So that's 4 double crochet, and that is 4 double crochet, and in between the chain space you'll just have this little space, which is fine because your I-cord will weave through there anyway. So I'm just going to continue doing my 4 double crochets, and then I will show you what that looks like at the end. I've just done the 4 double crochets in every chain space, and I'm back to the beginning of my round. So I've done already 1 and 2 double crochets, and I'm gonna do the last 2. These are my last 2 double crochets, and now I'm going to slip stitch into the top of that chain 2. Slip stitch. Okay, so now we've connected all around the whole round. I'm going to cut my yarn now, like leave a little bit so you can sew it in, but cut your yarn and then pull through, and you've finished your crochet bun cover. Now I'm going to weave in my ends. I do that, and then I try and go along like the double crochet through the back. Like that, and then I kind of try and just go back and forth underneath the double crochets. So this is underneath my double crochets in the back, but I just kind of like weave through that chain space just to make a little knot like that. I've got one more end to weave in, which is our beginning, the beginning of our yarn. And I just kind of like go behind those single crochets. It's finished, and all that's left is to make your cord so that you can weave it through this last round. Alternatively, you can use like a ribbon, or you can use a shoelace or any kind of cord. You can also use an elastic band and just do your double crochets while holding the elastic band, and it will just secure like that. And you can just like stretch it over your bun. But I really like the look of the cords, of the eye cords, because you can make like a bow in your hair. So I will show you how to do the eye cord next. To begin my eye cord, I like to use my skinnier needle, and I'll just make a slip knot. Just go around my needle, and then I'm going to cast on 2 more. So I'll have 3 loops on my needle, and then I will take it to the end of the needle, grab my other needle. Your working yarn should always be to the left, on your stitch furthest to the left, but you're going to begin with your stitch furthest to the right, so enter into that stitch and then yarn over and then pull through that stitch, and then just do the same thing. You're just knitting essentially. It's very tricky in these first couple ones because they're a little bit tight. So I've done that first round. It doesn't really look like much, but when making an eye cord, you always bring your stitches back to the right side of your needle, so it's always like that. But again, your working yarn is always going to be to the furthest left. And I'm just going in like knitwise into the first stitch. And then pull it again to the right side of your needle. So you'll just that's the pattern the whole time. You're just going to keep doing that until you've got a cord that is long enough. I made my cord to be 70 centimeters, or about like 73, like approximately. You can make it as long or as short as you want. I just chose 70 centimeters at random. You can kind of see it's taking form. It's not much, it's like that little nub. And then pull through to the other end of your needle. I kind of like twist it like that, which helps it be more circular. For the sake of the video, I'm just gonna quickly show you how to bind off this eye cord with this pink one, because I just started the other orange one and that is gonna take forever to finish. The way I bind off of this is I will knit one, honestly just binding off in the normal way, knit the next one, and then I'm going to put my needle through the first one and then pull it over the second one like that. So you have one left here and one left here. Knit that last one and then again pull that through over that, last one. So you'll just have the like this long cord left, and then you'll just want to cut it, pull it through. Okay, so then you'll have your cord. When I'm happy to like cut it off, I'll just kind of like put it through the middle of that tube, because this is essentially like a tube. And then I will just cut it like really close to the base so that you don't have much of a tail in there, and just kind of like roll it around and it just stays in there. So again, for the sake of the video, I'm going to use 2 different colors so you can see how I weave it through. But I'm going to try and find my beginning. Kind of hard to see, but this is the beginning. What I do is I go under and over like 2 double crochets. So this is my chain 2, my beginning, and that's another double crochet, and then these 2 here. So I go between, pull through, and then I go under those 2 and go between that set of 4, pull through, and then skip 2. This is what it looks like. You'll have like 2 double crochets between your the ends of your 2 ties. I like to make 1 knot before I start securing the bun cover. I just find that it's easier to open and close when you make the first knot. Whereas when you have it just like open like that, it kind of separates. Like, can you see that? Which is not ideal and it's kind of hard to reopen. Okay, so I suggest always having the first knot made if you're adjusting the size. It's just, I don't know why it's smoother. And then obviously you can make your little bow. I hope you enjoyed my tutorial, and I hope it was easy to understand and follow. If you make a bun cover, can you please show me? I would love to see it. I will have all of my social media in the description. If you have any questions, just ask and I'll do my best in responding. Thank you. Thanks for watching. Okay, bye.